The firing range was busy when she walked in. Heads turned as Marines spotted her bright orange rose-colored rifle. Laughter erupted immediately. "What is that thing? A toy?" one Marine called out. She said nothing, just moved to an empty spot and began setting up. Her hands worked quickly despite a slight tremor. Her old fatigues hung loose on her frame. "Hey everyone, check this out." A female Marine started live streaming. "This lady thinks she's going to outshoot Marines with her Barbie gun." Phones came out. Bets started flying. $20 says she misses the first target. 50 says she gives up after 3 shots. The woman kept her eyes down, methodically arranging her gear. When she dropped some bullets because of her shaking hand, the laughter grew louder. "Should we tell her which end to point at the target?" someone joked. Through it all, she remained silent. Her face showed nothing, but her jaw tightened slightly at each new taunt. Master Sergeant Holloway watched from a distance. Unlike the others, he wasn't laughing. Something about her movements caught his attention. "Who is she?" he asked the range officer. "Don't know. Her paperwork's in order though." The woman finished setting up and took position behind her rifle. The orange finish gleamed in the sun. When she gripped the stock, her tremor disappeared completely. The female Marine kept narrating to her viewers, "We're about to see something hilarious, folks." For the first time, the woman looked directly at the camera. Her eyes were calm, focused, confident. The Marine's voice trailed off. A strange quiet fell over the group. The woman turned back to her rifle, made a small adjustment to her scope, and settled in. Her breathing slowed. Her body became perfectly still. "Range is hot," called the officer. The woman chambered a round with smooth precision. The Marines watched, their mockery fading as they waited for her first shot. The laughter died down as Gunnery Sergeant Miller approached the woman. His face was stern, his patience clearly gone. The other Marines watched, eager for the confrontation. This is a professional military facility, not a civilian shooting gallery," he said, standing over her. "You're disrupting my Marines' training time with this spectacle." She looked up at him calmly, her hand still steady on her rifle. "I'll make you a deal," Miller continued, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Hit the 1,000-meter target with your first shot, and you can stay. Miss it, and you pack up that orange monstrosity and never come back to my range. Understood?" The woman nodded once, then spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet but clear. "I'll be shooting at 5,000 meters." The range went silent for 3 seconds before erupting in the loudest laughter yet. 5,000 meters? Over 3 miles? Even the best military snipers rarely attempted shots beyond 2,000 meters. "Did she say 5,000? Someone shouted. "That's not even possible with that setup. She's completely delusional." The female Marine influencer could barely speak through her laughter. "Guys, she just said she's going to hit a target at 5,000 meters. That would break the world record by almost 2,000 meters. Comments flooded the live stream. "Is she on drugs? This is the best thing I've seen all year. Someone get this woman some help." Through the chaos, Master Sergeant Holloway moved closer, studying her with growing interest. He noticed how her breathing followed a precise rhythm. 4 seconds in, hold for 2, 6 seconds out. The tremor in her left hand came at regular intervals, almost like a timer. Her notebook lay open beside her, filled with complex wind calculations and ballistic formulas he'd only seen used by advanced military snipers. "Those aren't standard calculations," he muttered to himself. The woman made a final adjustment to her scope, seemingly oblivious to the mockery around her. She checked a small device on her wrist, not a watch, Holloway realized, but some kind of atmospheric sensor. Miller stood with his arms crossed, enjoying the spectacle. 5,000 meters it is, then. I'll even let you take 3 shots instead of 1. You'll need the practice for your next fantasy league. More laughter, more phones recording, more bets being placed. But Holloway wasn't laughing anymore. Something about her confidence, her precision, the way she handled that ridiculous orange rifle, it all pointed to someone with training far beyond what they were witnessing. The woman chambered around and settled into position. The range officer called out again, "Range is hot." The Marines fell quiet, waiting for the inevitable embarrassment, phones still recording what they believed would be the shot heard round social media, for all the wrong reasons. 10, 9, 8. The Marines counted down mockingly, some making exaggerated shooting motions. The woman remained still, focused only on her breathing and the target that was literally miles away, a distance most considered impossible. 7, 6, 5. The female influencer zoomed in on the woman's face. This is going to be epic, guys. Epic failure. 4. 3. Master Sergeant Holloway noticed something strange. The woman wasn't fighting her tremor anymore. She was waiting for it, watching her own hand with calculated patience. 2. 1. The tremor came, and instead of avoiding it, she synchronized her trigger pull perfectly with it, a technique Holloway had only seen described in classified manuals for elite operatives. The orange rifle fired with a sound unlike any conventional weapon, not a crack or bang, but a deep, resonant thump that seemed to compress the air around them. A visible vapor trail formed behind the bullet, slow enough to track with the naked eye, defying normal ballistics. Marines scrambled for their spotting scopes, following the round's journey across the range. Seconds passed. 5. 10. 15. Then, at the extreme edge of the range, the steel target, barely visible as a speck to the naked eye, rang out with a clear ping. The bullet had struck dead center at 5,000 meters. But it didn't stop there. The round continued through the steel target and into a second verification plate behind it, leaving a perfect hole through both. Complete silence fell over the range. Phones lowered slowly. The female Marine's live stream cut off mid-sentence. No one moved. No one spoke. The impossible had just happened before dozens of witnesses. The woman calmly ejected the spent casing, catching it in her palm. She examined it briefly before tucking it into a small pouch at her belt. When she reached to adjust her scope, her sleeve pulled back slightly, revealing the edge of a tattoo, a distinctive pattern of interconnected triangles surrounding what looked like a serial number. Holloway's breath caught. He'd seen that mark only once before, in a classified file that required presidential clearance. The silence gave way to whispers, then murmurs of grudging respect. The gunnery sergeant who had challenged her stood frozen, his face drained of color. "Who are you?" someone finally asked. The woman didn't answer. She simply continued her methodical process, making notes in her book, the orange rose rifle gleaming in the sun, no longer an object of ridicule but something that would become legendary on this range for years to come. The crowd of Marines had just begun to gather around the woman when she stiffened, her head turning sharply toward the horizon. 3 black helicopters appeared, flying low and fast. No markings. No lights. No transponder signals. "Get inside. Now." Her voice had changed completely, sharp, commanding, urgent. No one moved. The woman grabbed her rifle and stood, her eyes never leaving the approaching aircraft. "Those aren't ours," she said. Everyone inside the reinforced building. "Move." The Marines exchanged confused glances until Master Sergeant Holloway's voice cut through their hesitation. "You heard her. Move. Move. Move." Something in his tone triggered their training. Marines began running toward the concrete structure at the edge of the range. The woman gathered her equipment with practiced speed, the tremor in her hand now pronounced. They were halfway to the building when the lights across the range flickered and died. Radios crackled with static, then went silent. Phones displayed no signal. "EMP," the woman muttered. "They're not taking chances this time." Inside the reinforced building, Marines secured the doors as Holloway demanded answers. "Who are they? Who are you?" The woman positioned herself by a window, her orange rifle at the ready. "They're a private military unit. Black budget. No oversight." Outside, figures in advanced tactical gear began deploying from the helicopters, moving within human precision toward the building. "My name is Captain Rebecca Voss. Until 3 years ago, I was part of a classified long-range elimination team codenamed Monarch." She checked her ammunition. "We were declared KIA after a mission in Kazakhstan. Official record says we were all killed." "But you weren't," Holloway said. "I was the only survivor. Our handler sold us out, gave our position to the highest bidder." Her eyes hardened. "I've been hiding, gathering evidence. That shot wasn't just showing off. It was a message to someone I thought was watching. I was right." A Marine by the door looked terrified. "Why are they here?" "They're here to erase me," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hand. "And now they're here to erase anyone who witnessed what that rifle can do. What I can do." The first explosion hit the outer wall, sending concrete dust billowing through the room. The first breach came through the east wall. Concrete exploded inward as shadow operatives poured through the gap, their gear unlike any military equipment the Marines had seen before. "Contact front," shouted a sergeant, raising his sidearm, the only weapon most of them had on the range. Captain Voss moved with startling speed, the orange rifle already at her shoulder. She fired 3 rapid shots, each one precisely timed with the pulse of her tremor. 3 operators dropped instantly, their advanced helmets punctured clean through. Their armor is reinforced ceramic composite, she called out. Aim for the neck seal or eye slits. Marines scrambled for cover, returning fire with whatever they had. A grenade arced through the air toward a group of pinned-down Marines. Voss tracked it, waited for her tremor, and fired. The grenade detonated mid-flight, the shrapnel absorbed by the ceiling. How is she doing that? Someone shouted. The tremor isn't a disability, Holloway realized aloud, firing his own weapon at the attackers. It's a timing mechanism. Voss nodded without taking her eye from the scope. Experimental neural enhancement. Creates a microsecond window of perfect stillness between tremors. The rifle is calibrated to it. Another wave of operatives breached the west wall. They moved like machines, communicating through hand signals and integrated systems. One raised a specialized launcher. Flashbang. Eyes closed. Voss shouted, then fired directly into the launcher's barrel. The resulting explosion temporarily blinded the assault team. The orange rifle made that distinctive thump sound with each shot, not the crack of conventional firearms. Each round seemed to distort the air around it, passing through cover that should have stopped normal bullets. Holloway fought his way to Voss's position, covering her flank. They moved in perfect synchronization, as if they'd trained together for years. His experience and her enhanced abilities created a deadly defensive position. "They're pulling back," a Marine called out. The operatives retreated methodically, dragging their wounded, leaving their dead. No dog tags, no identifying marks on their equipment. As the last helicopter lifted off, Voss finally lowered her rifle. Her face was pale, sweat beading on her forehead. The tremor in her hand had intensified, spreading to her arm. "Are you hit?" Holloway asked, moving to support her as she swayed. Neural feedback, she managed, before her legs gave out. System wasn't meant for extended combat. She collapsed against him, the orange rifle, the weapon they'd all mocked hours earlier, still clutched in her trembling hands. The same hands that had just saved all their lives. 3 weeks later, Captain Rebecca Voss stood before a Senate Intelligence Committee, her testimony sealed but her vindication complete. The evidence she'd gathered over 3 years, stored in the hollow stock of the orange rifle, had led to the arrest of 4 high-ranking intelligence officials and the exposure of a shadow program that had operated beyond government oversight for decades. "Your team deserved better," Senator Harris told her after the hearing. "We've authorized full military honors." At Arlington National Cemetery, 5 headstones that had previously been marked only with numbers now bore names, ranks, and medals. Rebecca stood before one in particular, Captain James Voss, her brother, the engineer who had designed the Orange Rose rifle specifically for her enhanced abilities. "He called it Rose because it was beautiful but had thorns," she explained quietly to Master Sergeant Holloway, who stood at attention beside her. The color was to ensure no one would ever mistake it for a standard-issue weapon. Behind them stood a formation of Marines, the same men and women who had laughed at her on the range. Now they wore their dress blues, standing at perfect attention under the autumn sky. The female Marine who had live-streamed her humiliation was the first to step forward, placing a single rose at the base of James Voss's headstone. "We didn't know," she said simply. Rebecca nodded, her tremor visible as she placed her hand on her brother's stone. He would have found the whole range incident hilarious. He always said the best weapons hide in plain sight. Gunnery Sergeant Miller approached, extending a small box. Inside was a marksmanship medal. "The 5,000-meter shot has been officially recognized," he said. "No one will ever mock that rifle again." As the Marines saluted in unison, Rebecca felt a weight lift. Her team would be remembered. The truth was known. And the Orange Rose rifle had found its place in history. Behind bulletproof glass at the Marine Corps Museum, the Orange Rose rifle draws attention immediately. Children point and giggle at its unusual color. Adults often smirk, until they read the plaque describing the 5,000-meter shot and the classified operation it exposed. "I thought it was a joke at first," a tour guide explains to visitors. Everyone did. Veterans who know the story don't laugh. They stand silently, offering subtle nods or salutes before moving on. 10 years after that day on the range, a private gathering takes place at a small Virginia restaurant. The Marines who witnessed history have changed, some with more gray hair, others with new scars, all with deeper perspective. "I stopped making fun of things I don't understand," says the former influencer, now running a non-profit for veterans with traumatic brain injuries. "Best lesson I ever learned." Beside her sits a young captain, the junior Marine she mentored after that day. She taught me to look beyond appearances. It's why I made officer. Gunnery Sergeant Miller, now retired, rolls up his sleeve to reveal a simple tattoo. Look deeper. He raises his glass. To the orange rifle that shut me up for the first time in my career. Laughter ripples through the room, warm now, not cruel. Master Sergeant Holloway, silver-haired but still straight-backed, gestures to the guest of honor. To Captain Voss. Rebecca stands, her hand still bearing that distinctive tremor. She raises her glass with her other hand. To my brother James, who knew I'd need a rifle as stubborn as I am. Her eyes crinkle. And to all of you, who learn not to judge a weapon by its color. The tremor follows the rhythm it always has, once a targeting system, now simply part of her. Not a weakness to hide, but a reminder of resilience that changed everything.